Hey there, creepy collectors, how's it going? It's Douglas here at Drownway Productions, bringing you another Screaming Ghostface Collectors video. And today we're going to be taking a look at a lot of diverse Screaming Ghostface merchandise. This is something that I've always wanted to accomplish, but never thought I would be able to. Ever since I started collecting the Screaming Ghostface stuff, I've always tried to look into all the different types of merchandise that have been put out because there's a wide variety of it. Some of it really cool and badass stuff. Some of it's a little bit goofier or sillier in a good way, and some in not so good ways. But regardless, it's always interested me, and of course I've tried to collect as much of this stuff as possible. And one thing I've always wanted to do is complete the Scream with FUNWORLD catalog image. This is a picture I came across when I first started collecting this stuff, and I've always wanted to have everything in this image complete. At one point in time, I remember I was really close to getting there, missing a few pieces, and then sold everything off. But then I bought a majority of that stuff back and then acquired all the pieces that I was missing. So as of recently, not only have we acquired all of these items, which at one point that's all I cared about was just having the items. Didn't matter if they were sealed, unsealed, working. I just wanted to have one of each item to be represented in my collection. Well, I'm happy to say that we have been lucky enough over the past few years to acquire everything in this catalog image, original, tagged, how it would be when it was originally manufactured, except there are a couple of pieces in here that are a little bit damaged, but nothing too severe. But before we dive in, taking a look at all of these items, I just want to go ahead and preface with this. First of all, this is far from all of the old vintage Screaming Ghostface merchandise. There were even other items that were released in the same year that are not present here on this catalog image, but this video is only going to be covering what's present on this catalog image. At some point in the future, I will be doing a video covering everything Screaming Ghostface merchandise-wise, and probably another one on all the masks, or maybe I'll just do one large video on everything Screaming Ghostface that I own. The next thing I want to address are the packaging differences, because this can be a little bit confusing. There are a lot of different packaging variants amongst all this stuff. Some things have the electronic style packaging, some things have the purple and green style packaging, some have the more maroon and pink, or as we call it, the Fantastic Faces style packaging, and some of it even has the exclusively black era as seen in Scream stuff, and even some early Ghostface branded stuff. So quite a weird variety of stuff here as far as packaging wise, but going by everything that's shown on these catalog images, this is everything, so let's go ahead and dive in. And since I've worked around the clock to get all this stuff together, we're going to go in a clockwise motion to cover everything in these catalog images. So starting things off in the top left, we have the FUNWORLD 6-foot ghoul. I'll give you guys a quick spin of the box. Of course, we'll put in some nice close-ups of the package while talking about what it says and just showing some of the stuff here. But yes, this is the classic 6-foot ghoul. Now technically the version I have here does predate this image, I believe, because they did put these out before Scream was ever a thing, and then whenever Scream became popular, they basically re-released the same exact thing here, the 6-foot ghoul, except for instead of having the skeleton body printed on, he just had a solid black plastic body. And funny enough, with the catalog image shown, they didn't even bother taking new pictures for the new version of the product. They just took the same image that I think is on the back over here and just photoshopped black all over the skeleton body. So it should be this exact image from the package that's present here on the catalog. Just to have a quick read over it, the top of it says walk by battery operated 6-foot ghoul, LED eyes and voice sound chip, eerie scream, light up eyes, walk by activated. Scare up some Halloween fun and trick-or-treaters. Some haunting decorating ideas, hang on a porch, from a tree, on an awning or in a doorway. Sit in a chair, on a stoop, or on a porch swing. Hide in a closet or a corner. Create a graveyard scene or place in a coffin. Easy to assemble for indoor and outdoor use. Scare up some spine-tingling thrills and chills. A great idea for decorating fun. Just turn switch and every time you walk by this funky phantom, his eyes blink in a strobe effect and you'll hear an eerie laugh. Looks great all night. Sound will automatically stop after several seconds. Eyes will continue blinking. On this side over here, we have the 6-foot ghoul sitting at a table with some trick-or-treaters and a 6-foot Frankenstein. It says eerie scream, light up eyes. Features 2 separate units, one for light up eyes and one for sound. So you can have it with just the lights on or with the sound and lights. Invite a divine guest to the party. Okay. Light up strobe eyes, eerie scream, easy to assemble, reusable. Okay, a lot of repetitive stuff here. Turning it again, 6-foot ghoul, LED eyes and voice sound chip, walk by activated, eerie scream, light up eyes. A spooktacular guest for home, school, and office. Hang 'em and hide 'em for a surprise. Create a haunting outdoor scene. It has the battery installation information there. And then we get to the last side. Scare up some spine-tingling thrills and chills. Okay, it's just the same write-up as before. And this does have the Pumpkin Hollow branding on it, so this would have been something that was released by Target years and years ago. Alright, first item's out of the way, on to the next. Alright guys, next up we have the true classic Scream Stalker costume. For any of you OG Ghostface fans who wanted to dress up as the killer back in the day, this is pretty much your only way to do it. Unless you were making your own robe at home, you went out and bought one of the FUNWORLD robes. And they did release these in quite a few different variants. Some early copies say Scream In Stalker instead of Scream Stalker. Then I think the one after that says seen in a major motion picture, and then finally, once they got the Scream branding, they were able to add the as seen in the motion picture Scream branding on the packaging. As for what this includes, it says one size fits all costume, which definitely isn't true because they also did release a plus size version of the costume. Non-flammable robe with hood, belt, and separate mask. Accessory suggestions, gloves, and knife. You couldn't even get gloves with these. And in fact, one of the later versions of the costume did have as a selling point with one of the glow stars here, includes gloves as a free gift. How crazy is that? Taking a look at the back here, we can see the mask. This mask pictured is a Gen 2 Stalker. This is where the name Stalker comes from. All were bib style masks. However, not all masks were the same. They were mostly released with Gen 2s. However, they can be found with EUHNs, even MK stamps, also known as the RDS, the MK Squinty Eyes version, and I think even the FUNWORLD Div Oddball stamp mask. Well, there's multiples, but you know, the main one. As for the packaging at the top, Scream Stalker, knife and gloves not included, care instructions, hand wash and line dry or dry clean, do not use bleach. A true classic and one of the more common items, but let's move on. Alright everybody, for our next item, we have one that's kind of odd. I don't think these are favored by most Screamin' Ghostface fans and collectors, including myself, but it's still a really cool variant, and I'm happy to have this as part of the set. Here we have the Mask and Cape costume, or glow-in-the-dark Mask and Cape costume, I should say, a little bit more accurately. And here's also a good time to point out that so far, out of what we've already seen 3 different styles of packaging. We've seen the electronic style FUNWORLD packaging, we've seen the classic maroon, pinkish, kind of colored Fantastic Faces style packaging, and here we have the first example of the purple and green style packaging. I've always loved the header tag on this one just because that image. It's such a weird image, which oddly enough, this picture is the very center of this catalog image. It's just a little weird to me because you know Ghostface is known for his trusty machete that he always uses in all the films. I'm also fond of this tag type because the glow-in-the-dark text looks really cool. As for the back, pretty basic. It just says cape size 44 inches, as seen in the motion picture Scream. Now, for those of you who don't know, perhaps you just started looking into this stuff and researching it, or perhaps this is your first time watching the channel, the Mask and Cape is actually what was originally designed as the Droop Hood. Then they released what was called the Instant Disguise. Now, the Droop Hood is essentially the same thing as this. It has the large, weird, foam-filled, droopy hood, except it didn't have the cape attached. It was just the mask and the shroud. Then they did the Instant Disguise, which is essentially the very same thing here, and it has the full cape attached, sewn into it, 44-inch long cape. But they did release these with multiple different masks. The first style Instant Disguise released was a Gen 1, then they did a Gen 2 variant, which is actually what is pictured here on the tag, and then of course they did the EU, and I think they continued doing these for quite a while. They did them for a few years and ended up offering even T-stamps, I believe a TD, and then they also, oddly enough, did do What's Up versions of these. They're very few and far between, and I don't think I've ever seen one tagged. I'm curious what that would look like, but they did release those as well. But yet again, as for pertaining to the catalog, here's my original tagged copy Mask and Cape, and I also do have one of the initial Gen 2 versions. Whether this was an Instant Disguise or a Mask and Cape tag, who knows, as they were released on, obviously, both tag types. Moving right along, here we have another costume type with the child-size Scream Stalker. Now, this is the only one of these I've ever owned for obvious reasons. I've never felt the need to go after these. As far as it goes, I mean, it's a small robe. The packaging is pretty interesting. Particularly, I like the vintage Fantastic Faces style maroon and pinkish look. I like this packaging variant more so than the other packaging variant, which they did release these in the all black ASIS era packaging, but of course the one I have here is the earlier version. As for the mask included, it is a child-size mask. Very, very small mask there. And other than that, everything on this is pretty much exactly the same. You have that classic image of the family of Ghostface trick-or-treaters there. And one thing I did notice that was a little bit different is that for accessory suggestions, it does not suggest a knife with this one. It says non-flammable robe with hood, belt, and separate mask. Accessory suggestions, gloves. Exclusively just gloves, not glove and knife. And even looking on the back, it just says gloves not included, not gloves and knife not included. So I guess even though they were okay with children dressing up as a serial killer, they didn't want them to carry around the knife. And next up is the obvious addition of this lineup. If you've already got the adult-size Scream Stalker and the adult-size mask and cape costume, then you've got your child-size Scream Stalker. I guess you gotta have the child-size mask and cape, huh? Well, yes, but no. Here we have the child-size mask and robe, or technically it doesn't say child-size anywhere on it. It just says mask and robe. And this is the first piece that we've seen here with the Ghostface TM branding on it. So kind of odd that they have all these different packaging styles all being pretty much released around the same time period or at the same times. And it has one of the coolest tags as well. You've just gotta love that image of the child Ghostface trick-or-treater. Such a cool, nostalgic looking image. And on the back, of course, you have the entire family, this time outlined with that classic red aura. And the back of the tag even has an interesting little blurb. This Halloween, dress the whole family alike for a monstrous good time. Gloves, trick-or-treat bags, and safety lights not included. Care instructions, hand wash, line dry, or dry clean. So yep, pretty much all the same, copyright info there on the back, but still a really cool item. And this actually does differ from the mask and cape costume because it doesn't have the big droop hood. It actually just has like the normal tassels hanging off the side, and it's almost like a normal mask, but with a full body sleeve sewn on, because this isn't a cape. This is more like the all-in-one costumes that were originally released by FUNWORLD. It's like a full nylon sleeve that goes over your body, and you would normally just wear like a long-sleeve black t-shirt underneath and some gloves to make it look like you're wearing the full costume. The next item is probably one of the hardest to find amongst all of these, just because of how it's constructed, what it's made out of. You'll see. We have the large Vacuform plastic Ghostface wall hanger. And like pretty much everything else featured in today's video, they released these in multiple different styles. Not just paint styles, but also sculpt styles. The version we have here is sculpted to look like the MK Squinty Eyes mask, whereas they also did a different variant of this where the mask looks just like the Gen 2 mask. For the MK Squinty, they only offered them in the glow-in-the-dark finishing, as you can see here, but for the Gen 2 style, they released them with the glow-in-the-dark finishing as well as a blacklight reactive white, pink, and blue version. However, of course, this is focusing just on stuff in this catalog image, and in the catalog image, we see the glow-in-the-dark MK style. So, here it is, and here's a look at the tag. It's a pretty basic looking tag. It just has wall and door plaque in the same green font as like the glow-in-the-dark style font, but it doesn't have the glow effect. Has the As Seen and Scream bar, and it says a weird way to make your home and party come alive. An eerie creature trying to break through any wall or door. A great decorating idea, use indoors or outdoors. And it says glows in the dark, not once, but twice. The back of the tag is exactly the same, and here's a look inside. It is just black Vacuform plastic, and unfortunately for these to be as large and unwieldy as they are, they made them out of a very, very thin plastic. So unfortunately it's very uncommon to find these in good shape, and even more uncommon to find them tagged. Alright, the next item is probably the coolest thing we've seen so far, and definitely the coolest thing that I own in the whole collection. Here we have the most beloved vintage merch item amongst any fan, the vinyl tie. Well, what can I even say about this thing, guys? It's a vinyl sculpted tie with Ghostface's ghost face on it. I know what you're thinking, stop talking, it's already sold. But I'm gonna go ahead and read to you what the tag says anyway. We've got the It's Fun Time logo, as seen in the motion picture Scream block. Horror tie is a fast and fun way to dress up, the perfect touch for parties, the office, and instant masquerade. One size fits all. And as its big glow star wow selling point, includes elastic neckband. You're not just buying a big rubber tie that you can't even put on. And the The back doesn't have anything fun or interesting on it, but I mean, what more do you want? It's a fucking Ghostface tie. Moving right along, we have an item that makes equally as much sense as the Ghostface tie. Here we have the Scream branded machete. This is the most confusing thing. Even as a child, I never understood why all the bleeding knives and bleeding machetes were always branded Ghostface, when Ghostface never even used a machete. But of course, the original machete that they released was the gray plastic machete. They've released many different versions. They've got chrome versions, they've got bleeding versions, glow-in-the-dark plastic, so many different types. But this is the true OG, and oddly enough, one way you can tell the originals apart if they're untagged. I haven't seen this on any modern copies, so I'm pretty confident this is a way that you can identify the older machetes if you care. Which I don't think there's anybody out there that really does, so you're probably just skipping this right now, but if you look here at the base of the handle, you can see a very odd defect in the plastic. You would think that that's something that happened over the time and would be like a later defect item, but nope, that's on the originals. And as far as the tag, it says, as seen in the motion picture Scream, the big Scream block, stalk your friends with this prop, used with Scream masks and costumes. And that's it. That's the only explanation that it has. Here's a product, buy it. Maybe the thought was, oh, if we release this product with a person dressed as Ghostface holding a machete, then everybody will have to buy the machete for their Ghostface costume. And damn it, I guess it worked, because here I am, all these years later, still buying these fucking vintage plastic machetes for that reason alone. Alright guys, and next up we have what has to be one of my favorite products that FUNWORLD has ever released. Probably my favorite product from this entire lineup, and honestly something that I really wish they would revisit. Here we have the true, original, Bleeding Brains Ghostface candle. Chances are most of you watching either know someone that had one of these, or you had one yourself. Let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging though. The top has the As Seen in Scream block, Bleeding Brains, and it says wax blood oozes from eyes and mouth. The front, of course, has the price sticker, has the image of the product, and says wax blood oozes from eyes and mouth. Stalker bleeds wax blood from eyes and mouth. Patent pending. I don't know why they felt the need to put the wax blood oozes in a glow star and then put almost the exact same thing, worded just smaller font on the box without stalker added. Kind of odd, but let's take a look at the other side. A gory gross out. Watch the melting wax that drips and oozes into a bloody pool. The perfect party decoration. Some chilling and thrilling decorating ideas. On a mantle, fiercely flickering. As a centerpiece for buffets and dinner parties. On tabletops, casting haunting shadows everywhere. Set upon a coffee table, captivating guests. In a dark room, glowing eerily. Anywhere to scare. Other than that, pretty much everything is exactly the same, but still, this has got to be one of the coolest products that FUNWORLD ever put out, and definitely one of my favorites amongst anything shown today. Then moving right along, we have another candle. Here we have the Hidden Horror Candle. Taking a look at the packaging, it has the As Seen in Scream block, and it says, cast a gruesome glow while this haunted tree reveals a spooky secret. As a wax tree melts down, a ghoulish figure is revealed. Terrible tombstone scene is a flickering, fun way to decorate the home and parties. Tree melts to reveal Scream Stalker. See, they put Stalker on this in the glow star. Why didn't they put that on the previous candle? Unfortunately, I don't have an extra one of these to melt because I thought about trying to get one at some point and actually just having a full time lapse of it melting down completely and uploading that with some spooky background music here on the channel, but luckily for us here on the side, they have a 1, 2, 3 step showing us what it looks like out of the box and then when it's fully melted. It says number 1, a haunted tree candle holds a hidden horror inside. Number 2 is melting horror tree, wax oozes and drips down, the Scream Stalker is revealed inch by inch. Number 3, the remains become a horrible one-of-a-kind decoration. You didn't have to put horrible in there, I don't think it looks that bad. Granted, I don't know why Ghostface has a scythe here, definitely looks like some bootleg thing, but still pretty nice. And just like the other package, both other sides are exactly the same. Alright guys, the next piece we're going to be taking a look at is the first thing in today's video that is not pretty much perfect original packaging, how it would be from the manufacturer. It's still sealed, and the other item that's also damaged in today's video is also sealed, but they both have some damage that I would really like to upgrade to better copies of these for. So if you're watching this and you happen to have this or the item mentioned later in better condition, let me know. But regardless, I'm still happy to have these and have them original, sealed, and part of the collection here to help complete this full set. But the next item is, of course, you can't just have the cool Bleeding Brains candle. You can't just have the badass Hidden Horror candle. 2 gimmicky candles isn't enough. You need another set. So they released the Scream Candle set. Here we have 2 Ghostface heads that are candles themselves. The full head itself is made out of wax. No part of this is supposed to be remaining, I guess, after it's melted. There's no red wax inside. It's just a standard candle that looks like Ghostface. And as for the packaging, it has the As Seen in Scream block, of course, and then it just says candles. It doesn't necessarily say stalker candles or anything like that, just As Seen in Scream candles. Cast a screaming glow over Halloween night. Scream candles are a great way to decorate and create dancing shadows. That's all it says, and as for the candles themselves, there's not a whole lot to see, and unfortunately the way the faces are painted isn't perfect. And as you can see with mine, one side of the packaging got crushed and it broke the chin off of one of the Ghostface candles, but everything is still sealed. It's just unfortunate that it's damaged. As for the back, it doesn't have anything too crazy to look at, nothing special, so not much to say there. And moving on to the next piece, here we have another odd one. The exact catalog image that was used in the catalog picture is that of the Gen 1. It was used to sell the Gen 1 masks. However, during this time period, they did have the Fearsome Faces line out, so they did have that Gen 2 image that was used on those tags as well as all the way through the ASIS period. So realistically, it could have been any of these masks pictured. It could have been the black tag ASIS, it could have been any of those. But looking exactly at the catalog image, since it's Gen 1, for this entry, we have the tag Gen 1 Fantastic Faces. The mask is pretty self-explanatory. Anyone out there who's a Screaming Ghostface fan at this point knows what a Gen 1 Fantastic Faces is. And if for some reason you're watching this and you don't, this style mask is what was used by the killer, for the most part, in the original Scream film. As far as the tag here, there's nothing referencing Scream that does not have the ASIS branding, doesn't say anything about the film, because of course these did predate the film. And after that, we're back on the subject of candles, but this time, it's not specifically that Ghostface is made into a candle himself as much as he's the candle holder, because here we have the original set of Scream and Ghostface candle holders. And as for the packaging, it has the As Seen in Scream branding, of course, it says candle holders, and then with the glow star, it says 4 candles and metal cup included. A scary pair of Scream candle holders to add a haunting atmosphere. Many candle holders are the perfect touch for parties and decorating this Halloween. And these are pretty awesome. These are solid resin pieces, and out of anything you can find here, they're probably the most common item to find still, intact as it was originally created. However, of course, you very seldom find them still in the packaging because most people open these up and lit the candles. As for the back of this one, there actually is a little bit more of a write-up. We have, of course, the As Seen in Scream block, candle holders, the whole A Scary Pair of Scream candle holders, that thing. And then it has some decorating ideas. Use at each place setting for some spooky dinners, decorate mantles and tabletops, and create a scary scene. And that's about it. Other than that, you've got your standard cautions against, open flames, and then you've got your FUNWORLD copyright stuff. Next up is another fun but odd piece. Here we have the original As Seen in Scream Blinking Window Winker. Try saying that 5 times fast. As for the packaging on this one, it has the As Seen in Scream box, blinking window winker, and continuous blinking light. Handy on-off switch, requires 2 AA batteries. I thought there was a little bit more hidden behind it on the packaging here, but it's just slightly covering up part of the word. And for the glow star, it says include suction cup and replacement bulb. I did not know that these actually included replacement bulbs. Tell the ghosts and goblins this house welcomes all trick-or-treaters. Blinking light is a fun way to decorate for Halloween. I agree, it is a fun way to decorate. I do have one of these open, and unfortunately it does not work anymore, even though it did at one point. Otherwise, we'd have a nice little demonstration on the channel for you guys. And as for the back, no fun decorating ideas right up. It just has the As Seen in Scream branding, the blinking window winker, battery installation stuff, and that's about it. The next item is a true classic and definitely one of the favorites, one of the actual true favorites among Screaming Ghostface fans. Here we have what is sometimes improperly referred to as the Ghostface bust. And to be fair, it's a bust of Ghostface, so that's not too wrong, but the actual name that this product has that was given to it by FUNWORLD is the tabletop decoration. As for packaging on these, there's not a whole lot to say. It has one tiny little tag here that has the As Seen in Scream block on it, and that's it. Solid black packaging, so it very well could have been released during that black ASIS era, or that may just be how they made the packaging for these entirely. I've never seen another one of these with a different style tag on it, so I do believe that that's the only style tag they were released with. And they also didn't do any other variants of these, like a pink, green, orange, glow in the dark, anything kind of crazy like that, but these are still really awesome. No fun decorating ideas or anything written on the tag, and as for the thing itself, the face here is actually the Gen 2 mask sculpture, so it has that classic Ghostface look, and of course, the full hood here is a sculpted piece that is made out of vinyl. Then it's sealed up at the bottom with a large vinyl piece. Unfortunately, it is pretty common to find these with the face really tilted forward and the back of the neck split open. Something about the weight distribution with how they were made causes them to do that over time, so that's something to kind of look out for if you're trying to find one of these, but this one obviously is a pretty much perfect example, still originally tagged, and just absolutely awesome. If you find one of these as a Screaming Ghostface fan, you should probably pick it up. And the next item is the only other piece that was damaged amongst all of these. I mentioned there was something else damaged, and unfortunately it was this, but also kind of fortunately, if it could have been anything else, I probably would rather this be damaged than anything else here. But on a lighter note, here we have the original Scream light set. Now they did release these in a few different packaging styles, of course. They did have these in the black ASIS packaging, but not on the hang tag with the blister kit like this. They had them in a box. Then they also had the purple and green style packaging in a box, just like that. And of course they did release these, which is like the blister kit. This is what's featured on the catalog image, so that's why this is what's being demonstrated here. But yeah, unfortunately, as some of you may can tell, one of my lights in this set is broken. This set was perfect before it was shipped to me, but in transit it got damaged, so this is something I do need to upgrade in the future. But for now, I'm content with just having one to complete the set. And as far as the packaging, let's take a look. It has the As Seen in Scream block, of course, light set, and then decorating ideas. Crawling over bushes, creeping around a doorway, peeking out of a tree, meandering along the mantle, winking out a window, sneaking up a staircase, hiding in a corner, or wriggling around a wreath. Steady burning or flashing option, stays lit even if one bulb burns out, replacement bulbs included, end-to-end type plug, and for indoor or outdoor use. Features plug and connector at both ends to string light sets together, and of course you've got the image of them hanging up in a window here. At the bottom, it pretty much says almost the same thing. Steady burning or flashing option. Set stays lit even if one bulb burns out. Replacement bulbs included. End-to-end type plug. And weather-resistant rip-stop nylon for indoor or outdoor use. The packaging doesn't have a lot of cool write-up stuff. Most of it's just how to replace stuff or how to fix certain things. But it does say at the top, it's a screaming way to decorate this Halloween, and it's fun for everyone. New Scream lights offer easy decorating for areas such as doorways, wreaths, tabletops, and centerpieces. For larger areas, simply connect several strings together to create some boo to full effects on the front of the house, porch, or lamppost, in bushes, trees, and on walkways. Could you imagine if I had enough of these to actually line the inside of this room and how badass that would look? Alright, we have finally made it to the finish line. This is the last item for today's video, guys. If you've watched this video all the way through and haven't skipped through here and there, if you've just genuinely watched this and listened to it all, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this video and maybe you've even learned something. If you enjoyed this video and want to see other Screaming Ghostface videos or just other merchandise, screen use prop type collecting stuff, please be sure to subscribe and maybe even leave a like. But as for that last item, here we have another really cool vintage piece. Here we have the As Seen in Scream wall and door plaque. Yet another infamous piece amongst collectors. You gotta love these. And also, like almost everything else here, these were released in several different packaging styles. They released these with the early electronic style packaging like you saw with the 6-foot ghoul and the blinking window winker. But this particular version is more of a Scream branded one. As you can tell, it has Scream all over it. Here on the front, on the top, on the back, on the sides, it's everywhere. They really want you to know that this is Scream related. I don't think the other package variants have that branding quite as much, or they may not even have the As Seen in Scream branding at all, but they also do have some other small differences. Some of the earlier versions have the nose painted flat across at the bottom, like Gen 1's, whereas some of these later versions have the more heart-shaped nose, kind of like a Gen 2 or any of the later masks. This version also has a polyester shroud, because they do have a full shroud surrounding the mask to make it look literally like there's a mask hanging on your wall with glowing red eyes. However, the earlier versions had a cloth shroud, so they do have some small differences with these as well. Other than that, they emit the same scream that FUNWORLD has used for this and many other products, and the eyes light up and blink. It's a pretty cool piece, but let's take a look at the box. FUNWORLD electronic walk-by activated LED eyes and Scream sound chip. Requires 2 AA batteries. The Try Me says pass hand in front of nose, see back of box for demonstration. Hear a scary scream. The sides and top are pretty much exactly the same, and the back here has a really cool image of one actually lit up. It says featuring flashing eyes, hear a scary scream, walk by activated, turn switch to on position, then pass hand in front of sensor, and a haunting howl Halloween decoration for some super scary trick-or-treat fun. A ghastly, ghostly creature. See eyes flicker and flash and hear a haunting, horrible scream every time you walk by. And well, with that being said, guys, that finishes up this video for everything from this Scream with FUNWORLD catalog image. And I just want to remind you guys again, this is far from all of the Scream and Ghostface merchandise that FUNWORLD put out back in the day. And of course they've put out even more since then. So at some point in the future I will be doing a video covering all of my Scream and Ghostface merchandise. Of course that will be a very long video unless it's literally just here's the item, here's video of the packaging or of what the item is. That's going to be a long video and it's probably going to be a while before we get that made, but I have a question for you guys before we leave. Or I guess it's a multi-layered question. Out of everything that was featured in today's video, I want you to let me know in the comment section down below what was your favorite mask and costume wise, and what was your favorite merchandise wise? Because obviously, you know, there's a pretty split difference here. You've got your wearable stuff, and then you've got the stuff that's more decorations or just merchandise. So let me know in the comment section down below what it is that you like, what you enjoyed. Are there any of these you think are really stupid or just stuff you really enjoy? Let me know. And with that being said, I think that about does it for today's video, so thank you all for watching. I love you all, and see you next time.